All right, well, now I'm joined by Joel Krieger. Normally, he's wearing more vestments when he appears on Belfast Community TV because, as you may know, First Church televises its church services. But today I'm here to talk about the Belfast Peace Festival. That's a very nice looking t shirt.
Thank you, Ned. Thank you, Ned. Yeah, Katya, Katya, what's your last name?
Ancona, maybe?
Ancona, there you go. Designed this for us, and this is our shirt that we have. It's available for people to purchase, but yeah, it really speaks. It's nice and bright and speaks well of the Peace Festival.
Well, you know, I was always wondering about this festival because I remember it happened last year, and I must admit that I was doing something else during that time. But I was always curious as to the origins of the festival. How did it come about, and what's it all? I mean, I know what it's about. It's about peace, but maybe we should know. That's a pretty general topic that I think we all would like.
That's right. That's right, Ned. Briefly, the history, as I understand it, was back in 2013. There was a birthday party for, I don't know whose it was, but Neva Allen, Dan Avner, and Dean Perkins, who pastor at the UU Church, and they're all UU members, were sitting talking, and Neva came up with this idea of, why don't we have a peace festival here in Belfast? And I don't know what the conversation was that led up to that, but that was kind of the seeds of the beginning. And from there, they took the idea to one of the committees within the UU Church, and from that was formed another group, the Belfast Peace Festival Planning Group. And
they decided to move it to the First Church because I remember seeing all sorts of activity on the front lawn of the First Church.
Well, that first year, 2014, we had members of the UU Church. We have a couple members of our church. I believe there's folks from St. Margaret's, and also I think maybe a representative, or at least there was some participation from the First Baptist Church.
Okay.
And in the first year, then we held it both at First Church on our front lawn, and First Church, the UUs, and the First Baptist Church. All three of us had meals that we served that were part of the festival, and there was a lot of cooperation with some of the other churches as well. The Greater Bay Area Ministerium, of which we're all a part, decided this year to be a sponsor of the event. I believe we also sponsored it last year, but this year we were a little bit more vocal and a little bit more participating in it with many of the other ministerium churches. So that's kind of how it's gotten to where it is now. Of course, last year was our first. This is our second annual, and we're hoping for it to continue. But the question that you've asked before, and a lot of folks have brought up, why do we need a peace festival? I mean, everybody wants peace. It kind of should go without saying that everybody thinks peace is a good thing, so why do you need a festival? Well, as I see it, peace is one of those things that it just doesn't happen on its own.
That's for sure. And there's so many different people's ideas of how you get to peace. I mean, if you're a member of the National Rifle Association, you feel that everybody should have a gun so that they can be protected, so that they can keep the peace, while others would say, get rid of all the guns.
Right. Yeah, there are lots of different approaches to how we come about having a peaceful, harmonious culture and community wherever we are. And of course, the world in our time is extremely fraught with war and violence and all sorts of things that we really need to seek peace. There's a bumper sticker out there that says "Wage Peace." I don't know if you've ever seen that.
I think I have. It's next to a bumper that says "Coexist" with all these different things.
There you go. Yeah, you bet. But that to me really gives kind of a good example of the approach that I think we try to take here. The idea that peace won't come by itself, that we need to be intentional about it. We need to be striving to do things that bring peace into our midst. And the Peace Festival that's what it's about, to try to raise up different ideas, to just help people come to a kind of a group feeling, a sense that we can do this together. It's a kind of a cooperative venture. We will have, as you'll hear a little bit later,
all sorts of events that are part
all
of it.
kinds of things that we've got speakers and music and different things to really lift this up and highlight it.
So when I think of peace, the first thing that came to mind is because of all the news about world peace and all the problems in the Mideast. But the second thing came to mind was my kids fighting all the time. And I'm saying, and quite frankly, that affects me more than some wars that I know are horrible and people are dying and all of that. But I was wondering, is the emphasis on world peace or like peace in your household?
Well, that's a good question, Ned, and I'm sorry to hear there's fighting in your midst, but no, but
It's a
that is
tough
so
life, but
common.
they're like
What
1 year apart, and they're like,
what family doesn't have a little, stuff going on? I mean, growing up in the family, I had two brothers and a sister, and I was the youngest, and uh, quite often we had some good interaction between me and my brothers, right? But no, I think the festival speaks to all those things, to the many different levels of where we're trying to bring peace into our world. And there definitely are activities for kids and as well as adults, and the whole gamut, the whole range of different things that just about everybody, I think, would find something that would interest them.
So when I think of what might happen at such a festival without really knowing, I would think there would be like things that you can do to make sure that in your own life you're, channeling peace, but then maybe action that you can take, everything from writing your congressman to making donations to Doctors Without Borders or things like that
Right.
that you can take as action. Is that some of the knowing some of the resources that people can do to make action to make the world more peaceful?
Yeah, sure, Ned. Along with all the activities that will be going on, there will also be some tents with tablers, people who have organizations, nonprofits, most of them, that will have their information out. There will be all kinds of information and things that people you can talk to about different topics, things that you're concerned about.
I was a child of the Vietnam War era. And because of that, I remember, being for peace. And yet there were people who you would have thought everyone would be for peace, but they almost thought that all of us who were like wanting peace were a bunch of quote peaceniks, and we didn't have a clue, and yet time has proven that now it seems like everybody's saying they were against the war in Vietnam, but during the time it wasn't easy necessarily. You were somewhat ostracized by the powers that be about the whole idea of peace, and it almost seemed like there are people who feel like you should have, the most powerful war and jump in and do that kind of stuff. That's really a difficult thing to overcome, I think.
Yeah, Ned, that time period of the late 50s, 60s, the Vietnam War and all of that, I think our culture, our American culture, went through a huge transition during that time. And the peaceniks, or those who were supporting the peace movement, along with the civil rights movement in that time, and all kinds of things that were happening that were really affecting our culture. And I think a culture that was really pro-establishment. I mean, and
Right.
to do anything or say anything that contradicted that of the administration that was in charge and in power. I mean,
You were
so,
un-American is what
right?
it was.
Yeah, exactly. Sure.
Well,
So it took some time for that change and transition to affect the general culture. And in some ways there are similar things going on now, but I think they're a little bit more muted, not quite as
Yeah.
strong.
Well, we unfortunately run out of time. I want to have an opportunity to talk with Katya, who's going to talk about
Right,
the specifics
right.
of the festival. So thank you very much, Joe.
Ned, thank you, and
Okay.
we're really excited. I hope people turn out. It's going to be a great event.
Okay, thanks. Okay, well, Katya, thanks so much for designing that wonderful T-shirt. But you have an idea of all the different events. Give me a sense of what's going to be happening at the festival.
Um, well, we have 2 days, starting with Friday evening at 6 o'clock till 10. We have a dance party with DJ Eric Klausmeyer. He'll do a live broadcast with WERU.
Oh, yeah, I remember that last year. It was a live broadcast with the WERU. I really love community media, and WERU is a great one to do it.
Yeah, people had a great time. He has a whole light show, and both his and his partner also do another DJ will be there.
So is all the music peace oriented, you know, all we are saying is give peace a chance, or is it just have a good time and exude peaceful vibes?
Well, it's a combination. It starts with the 60s and 70s. There are a lot of peace-filled themes, but it's not only that. It comes up into current time too. And
Right. So we're not supposed to dress like we're from the, you know, with peace signs and stuff. It's not a period piece. It's a current piece, right?
well, it can be. I think last year there were quite a few people that brought out their tie-dye and, had
Yeah.
fun with it.
All right. So that's Friday night. What else is happening then? That's most of it's on Saturday during the day.
Right, and also Friday night there will be some vendors for food and other things,
Oh, nice.
and people can bring a picnic if they like and dance. And so Saturday starts bright and early at 7 o'clock with yoga led by David Erickson, and that'll be outside.
I've taken yoga with David Erickson. He did some nice slow yoga, which was very peaceful. So peaceful that at the end I almost fell asleep.
Well, I haven't taken one of his classes, but it's apparently accessible,
Yes.
to all ages,
Yes.
and then after that, that will lead into a meditation with Bonnie Verbancourt. And then we're going to switch gears and head over to Waterfall Arts, where people can make posters and banners for the parade that will be gathering there and then walking through town. We'll have Willow's she's been working with us. And
Willow Cordes Eklund
yeah.
of With Breath Puppetry.
Right, yeah. So we'll have some great puppets there and hopefully a lot of kids. And if you can join in the parade or...
It sounds very Belfast, is all I can say.
Right.
I'm almost thinking it's going to be a little like the Church Street Festival or something.
Yeah.
So where's it marching to?
It comes down High Street,
Yeah.
down Main Street, and then across the Harbor Walk and ends up in the park, Steamboat Landing and the boathouse
That's
area.
great. So what time is that parade happening?
Starts at 10.
10. Okay.
Yeah,
Well, great.
yeah.
And then is that the end of it all?
No, that's just the beginning.
Oh, okay.
So we'll have a welcoming address then and dances of universal peace. And then we have a number of vendors who will be there. We have speakers on nonviolent communication, Peace Jam, Seeds of Peace, and
lots more. So I'm afraid we've actually run out of time. But during this time, I've put the website address. So people, if you're interested in, just go to this website address and it'll have all kinds of information on what you can do. And thank you so much for helping try to make Belfast and possibly the world and the galaxy a more peaceful place.
well, thank you very much.